Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Hey, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on this Saturday, February the 3rd.
Already, yeah.
It's already Gene Smith and Dave Gavitt in studio, along with our webmaster over there himself, Guy Trebo. Greg Ratliff is our show producer, and I remember old Ralph Edwards on the old TV show, This Is Your Life.
Yeah.
You know it? Dave Gabbard has no idea who's coming up down the road here on this show. I told him to throw away that old format that we had.
Oh, okay.
And don't have to go with it. But
if I
Dave
do this, I'd wear clean socks.
I wish you'd worn socks. I thought those were socks.
And green feet.
They're ankles. Okay. A couple more guys on with us right now. Dave, that have played an important part in your career in the TWRA, and I appreciate each of them taking time. And we can actually ask one of them some questions because you got him on the format to begin with.
Right.
But we have Major Brian Thompson on with us. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
All right, and I think he can tell some Gabbard stories. And then
I can.
And then our theme song man himself is Don King.
Mr. Don King.
Mr. Don King that brought him with us. Good morning, Don.
Good morning. Hey, thanks for inviting me in. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and chat with you guys a few minutes.
Well, we're chatting all Gabbard here. I know that times have changed, and Dave has been there 140 years now, you know, in TWRA career. But for the job he does, Don, and we'll talk to you first before. I know Brian's got a story or two to tell about Dave. But Don, I know that the position information officer has changed over the years, but Dave is one of those guys I think is from the old school, but at the same time he's been managed to transfer into the current.
Just barely.
Barely. It's barely. That's right. But he wasn't grandfathered into this position, though. He did serve time in the field. But, Don, from your perspective, Dave and the valuable job he's done over in Region 1?
You betcha. Yeah, we hate to lose Dave, but I know I'll be seeing him maybe on the golf course or out, shooting a shotgun now and then. But Dave came up through the ranks, and his background as a wildlife officer. Yeah, I think was really valuable to Dave to be able to come up and realize what the guys go through, guys and gals nowadays out there in the field, when they're checking folks and when they're trying to, figure out if folks are doing the right thing or not. And, Dave used all those talents in his new role when he was selected to become the I&E coordinator, and basically getting our word out there as an agency, with folks like you, Larry, a great outlet on your radio show. Dave has touted early on. He touted me on we got to get involved with Larry Ray's radio show because it's just the right thing to do, and I totally agree with Dave.
I appreciate your words from there because I don't have Dave anymore. So we're getting all this down in tape, so we'll know that.
For posterity.
But I know, Don, Dave. If you had to describe Dave Gabbard, how would you describe him in the relationship between the agency and himself?
The agency and himself? Oh, gosh.
Is he opinionated?
Dave will let you know what he thinks.
There you go. Okay, that's
So the answer to that was yes.
Yes. Okay, Brian. I hear you.
You don't have to ask him too many times.
I was called one time. That some people call a spade. Yes. I call it a beep shovel.
Well, Brian, I know you have spent a lot of time with Dave, whether it's in the office, off the office. You guys are friends and have duck hunted together and everything. Tell us a little bit about Dave Gavitt.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you any stories because I may retire soon myself, and don't want Dave to repeat anything either. So I'm a lot smarter than that. But I will say this about Dave Gavitt, and I've known Dave since I've been working for the agency, and with both as officers, and then see Dave move into the I&E. Dave has always been involved with the youth of Tennessee.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of times we get involved. We coach ball because our kids are playing, or we coach scholastic sports because our kids are involved. Mm-hmm. Dave has been involved with this stuff even after his kids were come and gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that means a lot. You do it because he loves sharing what we have enjoyed all doing over years with the young people. And me and Dave had literally spent hours and hours and talked with thousands and thousands of 4-H'ers over the last 30 years. Through a 4-H program. And Dave's done a lot more than I have because he's been involved in a lot of the shooting stuff for the young folks. So that's an acclimate to Dave, is that he's done it not for his own, but for everybody else's as well.
And I think Gene Smith is sitting in here with us, the hunter education guru we talk about. And Gene, you'll vouch for that, won't you, from Dave's you've been on many trips with Dave.
We
spent some nights together.
We had a lot of adventures.
Adventures, but
I remember the first time we spent the night together.
Well, this is interesting. This is
you got to hear it.
Hey, we're waiting on this, Don. Okay, let's put this in his folder.
I knew he was snoring a lot, so before he went to sleep, I went over and kissed him on the forehead. He stayed awake all night.
There you go.
But the next night he kissed me. I said, then I stayed awake all night.
Okay, Gene. But no.
Dave and I went on a lot of trips. We did a lot of archery at Natchez Trace for the Delta Fawcett people.
Yes.
And then we went to Cordova or wherever out there and did the archery down there. Dave just jumps in when anything to do with young people. It's no question about it. He'll do it. You do it. And he calls me, right. And we go on a lot of trips and do a lot of stuff. But Dave does it because he loves the kids.
And the fishing rodeos, right. Don King, I know you guys, the fishing rodeos are part of the TWRA, and I know we put one on down here for 51 years at the Commercial Appeal, and they dropped it. And next thing I know, the TWRA said, we're going to take that. And for the last 15 years, Dave, here he comes. They got it down to a science. They're like a rolling circus. Yeah, it's like the circus coming to town. And Don, I know from your point of view, and Brian's at the same time, that's more kids involved in the TWRA, right, Don?
Exactly. And gosh, that event that you're talking about right there is just a fishing rodeo on steroids. It's just one to beat all fishing rodeos, and appreciate all the work you guys do to help make that happen. And Dave and Gene there together, gosh, no telling, like Brian said, how many young people have been influenced and have made their own way into the outdoors because of the influence they've had, in their lives. And
that's why they're together on this show, Brother Darrell and Darrell. A lot of people say, "Well, do they look alike? Are they really brothers?" I said, "Well, no,
no, not exactly." But Dave realizes, that the future of us being able to continue to do what we do really is dependent on the next generation and the generation after that can keep this thing going. So kudos to Dave and Gene too.
Yeah, like Gene and Brian also, when you've been around for a while, when you have a little kid come up in the hunter ed class said, I think you taught my granddaddy.
Oh,
There you go.
That's a compliment. Yeah. And I will let you listeners know out there today, and it's a good time with Don on and Brian on, that we're now part of Outdoors of Larry Ray is now part of Brownsville and Jackson. We have moved, thanks to our good friend Carlton Veers. We're also on Brownsville radio now.
Awesome.
Yes, and then we're also over in Jackson. We're on the big station in Jackson. That's News Talk 101.5. So we are now all over West Tennessee with Outdoors with Larry Ray. And I think it's wonderful that the first show that we kick this off with is to kick somebody out of the show.
Yeah, just kick them out.
Well, now
let me get down on the floor and let you kick me.
It's going to be an improved and better format now, isn't it, Larry?
Right. Well, we're going to be able, for all you guys in Jackson and Brownsville, to be able to listen to Outdoors with Larry Ray, live streaming and things of this sort. And so, Dave, I wanted us to start the partnership off with a salute to Dave. Of course, we've saluted Gene so long, and I'm out of salutes for him,
Yeah,
but,
that's exactly right.
But Dave,
hey, Dave, how many years did we have in total? Do you have in, Dave?
34 and a half.
34 and a half years working for TWR. Job well done.
Yeah. And me and Brian, what he's talking about up there, we used to host a camp called Wildlife Conference.
Yeah.
And Brian T. is the king of eating blonde brownies and playing volleyball.
and Gaga.
And Gaga.
That's exactly right.
Not that we going to go into the diet for Dave Gavitt today, okay?
No,
we're not going to do that, though. Hey, guys, thank y'all. Got a closing thing to say?
Hey, thank you, Dave, for all your service. I really appreciate you and appreciate you as a friend, and looking forward to seeing you many times in the.
I might do now that I'm retired. You might need a roadie.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. He's a good one.
All right, okay, guys, we got to get out of here. Thank y'all. Appreciate you. And for you listeners out there, we're gonna be right back with some more surprises on. I guess this is your life, Dave Gavitt.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, the TWRA was your life.
That's right.
All right, let's take a break. Be right back. Thanks, guys.